Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Going Dark podcast, episode number 21. 21.
21.
Chop, how you feeling, baby?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. I'm actually about to head off for vacation, so we wanted to just quickly, catch up with y'all and chat about MW3 season 6, a little bit of what they've done. We'll chat a little bit about Black Ops 6 as well, just some new developments going on with that. There isn't as much to cover, admittedly, as far as like just massive amounts of content because we're in that moment where it gets quiet
Yeah.
right before the game comes out.
Yeah.
So we're kind of just chilling, but this will be a nice way to wrap up, put a nice little bow on MW3. I know we did a bit of a retrospective podcast on it a bit ago, but technically, I mean, they hadn't released their final season, so now we've gotten there and we can kind of put a more clean box around everything.
Yeah. Um, yeah, there's a couple things we want to cover for sure. I think, like you said, we did a little retrospective of MW3, but I think now that it's actually done, I think it's good to see, kind of look back. And I want to start off with this tweet actually, because this is from Charlie Intel, and I think we should get right into it. Here is what Modern Warfare 3 did post launch. 18 new 6v6 maps, 2
Wow.
remastered 6v6 maps, 18 6v6 map variants, 2 parkour maps, 1 war map, 1 gunfight map, 42 total maps post launch. So to
That's not including any zombie content either, right? That's
no,
just like, is that just multiplayer?
that's multiplayer.
Wow.
So
42 new maps?
I saw this tweet the other day and I actually bookmarked it because I'm like, that's honestly kind of incredible. And today, like, that's honestly what I think most people pictured when we got into this era of content where we got rid of DLC packs and we were like, oh my gosh, we're gonna be able to get all these multiplayer maps. It's gonna be so awesome. And then like the first couple years, it's like, hey, here's one map. And 6 months later, here's another one. We're like, wait a second, this isn't what we signed up for. And then now it's like, wow. Now here's the problem with that. It provides a little pressure now to treyarch, and we'll get into this later in the conversation. But I think Sledgehammer just kind of knocked it out of the park. It sucks for me knowing that they have not wanted to make their last 2 Call of Duties. Now, they have, but like not the ones that they actually wanted to make.
Right.
Like,
it's been an idea imposed on them.
Did you
100%.
did you see the map that they put out in this new one, the Halloween map with the clowns?
I played a map that was basically like, well, I'll get into what I played in season 6 in just a second, but I did play like a little bit of the multiplayer, just to try it out. I played a variant of Shipment that was like a Halloween one.
Yes. Yep.
That was, and I guess if that counts as a new map, fair enough. Obviously, it's just like a cosmetic change, but yeah, I played like a Halloween version of Shipment. And I don't know if that was the map you were referring to.
No, there's like another. It's like I don't even know what it's called, which is bad, but it's it kind of reminds me of Sideshow from Advanced Warfare. I don't know if you remember that map.
Oh, the clown map?
Yeah, so it's that vibe, but it's like dark and like kind of Halloweenish.
I think I saw like a picture of it.
Very
like
good. And it's another one of those like smaller maps, so it's a lot of gunfights and I don't know, man. I just that kind of stuff. It's just I like. We've talked about this in the previous podcast of like the vibe. Like it changed the vibe of the map. It felt different, unique. And that's kind of what I felt like we were missing from the last couple CODs, like the unique multiplayer maps where you dove in, you're like, wow, this is great.
This is truly something new. Okay, so here's something I want to ask you, right? Is like we're able to praise Sledgehammer now for this like really stellar amount of post-launch content. I mean, again, well, I want to talk about zombies here in a second. We'll save that aside for now, but just what they, that tweet you just read with all the multiplayer stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think it's fair to say that maybe one of the reasons they were able to come out swinging so much and just by the end they had all this new content was because the maps on launch were done in 2009?
Yes.
So I'm not saying they didn't do any work on them, but most of the legwork was already done for them. I know they retextured them, they rebalanced them to some degree. I know they did work on them, but like for the most part, the launch content was kind of already done, and from my
Handed to him,
understanding,
kind of.
was done like years ago. Um, so maybe they were already working on what would be post-launch content before the game even launched,
Yeah.
which is like not a bad scenario. Like obviously we just launched with remasters, that's fine. Um, and what it kind of makes me think is that I don't think it's possible. Like, I actually just don't think it's possible for Treyarch to be able to match identically what Modern Warfare 3 did with their
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
because Treyarch is launching with tons of brand
All
new
new.
maps,
Yeah. All
you
new.
know? Um, so it may end up being the reverse of Modern Warfare 3 for that game where that, launched with remasters, had new maps throughout the season. BO6 is coming out with new maps, and I think they're going to have remasters down the road.
Yeah.
Um, so maybe I don't know if that's a fair judgment to say that like maybe they were able to get so far ahead of the curve because they launched with maps that were kind of already done.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good choice. I don't know. I just hope that they see how much love Sledgehammer has gotten, and I think Treyarch's very good at being aware of what the community wants and likes, and
Yeah.
the temperature of the room type vibe.
Hmm.
And I can see them, like you said, 42 is a lot of maps, but
It's a
you
lot.
know, for me, one of the things that stands out is only one gunfight map, and I hate to pick on Sledgehammer because they did a great job, but I'm just saying, like, I really, really love the game mode gunfight. I love it. When MW19 brought that game mode in, I played that probably more than regular multiplayer for a good bit.
Oh, me too. Me
It was
too.
so good,
100%.
unique, and I felt like they could have been elevating this game mode over the years because I really think it was a. I felt like
Was
it
it
was a
MW2 that didn't do gunfight?
MW2 came with no gunfight. Same people
Oh,
who made gunfight did not bring gunfight back.
that's so weird,
It's
man.
just okay.
No,
We need to move on.
MW3 had gunfight, but they didn't
They cycled
update
it.
it as
They
much.
cycled it.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so
Okay.
it was like a Warzone map. It's like one day it was there, one day it wasn't, and I'm like, this MW19. If you remember back, it got introduced. It was the beta. It was the
Yeah.
beta. It was not multiplayer. I don't know if multiplayer came. I can't remember, but the beta was gunfight, and then when it came out, they had like the tournaments where you would get camos and all this stuff. They had like every 15 minutes gunfight tournaments. You could do random with it. You could go with a
Yeah.
buddy, and then if you won, you got like a camo or something. And I'm like, what a great idea to level up as time goes on. Where maybe nowadays there would be a whole mode with 6, 7, 8, 9 maps, and then you could win camos, you could win blueprints, you could win these whole things, and I don't know, like there was just so many ways to take this. Maybe you
Yeah.
had your classes for maybe it was a more competitive one where you got to choose your classes. It wasn't random guns. And then like you could just kind of go back and forth. But
I have this like I don't know, and maybe you can tell me you think about this. I don't know if you think I'm off base, but I don't mean to pick at them, but I feel like Infinity Ward is the thing that they're best at is coming up with a really great idea and then shooting themselves in the foot
yeah,
with it.
I mean, think
You
about
know?
all the stuff that they've done in the last couple of years. The movement mechanics in MW19 are some of my favorite in COD history.
Yeah.
Gunfight, one of my favorite modes. Warzone OG, one of the best.
It feels like they always and maybe this is an oversimplification, but it seems like they always want to be contrarian to what people are enjoying. It's
Yeah,
like, "Oh, y'all really liked Gunfight? It's not coming to MW2. Y'all really liked red dots on the minimap? That's gone." You know what I mean? Like, it feels like they have to be contrarian just for the sake of doing something different and trying to be the studio that pushes boundaries when in reality, a lot of times I think it's just a change that people hate,
yeah.
you know?
Well, like
Um,
DMZ, imagine if they struck gold with DMZ, and
mhm.
unfortunately they did not. I do think a lot of people like DMZ. If you're listening at home and you like DMZ, there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
But
sure, but they
it
kind of
sh-
abandoned it in the same way that like
yeah, but it
Modern
also
Warfare
shouldn't
Zombies
have
got
been.
abandoned.
It shouldn't have been the whole mechanics of the entire game. Like the
What do
bag
you mean by
system.
that?
So like the bag system shouldn't have been in Warzone, where you can
Oh,
carry
oh,
8
okay.
smokes and 8 streaks and 8 everything,
Are you
and
are you saying DMZ influenced Warzone?
influenced everything. I think even the
Yeah.
multiplayer, the movement, and like all that stuff. So, um,
Mhm.
but again, I always rip Infinity Ward, and I really like the point you just made of like they are trying to do something unique. I feel like, I mean, even like going back to IW with Zombies in Spaceland, I feel like that was a good idea, and like they kind
That
of.
was big Lee Ross right there. Lee Ross had some that man's got some ideas. I will give him that.
Where's he at? Is he still
right.
there?
I think no, he's working on uh oh my god, what's that game? Hang on, I'm
Is he
gonna
with
find it.
Vandahar?
No, he's not.
But yeah, I mean, I
Uh
think Spaceland
oh,
is
6 Days in Fallujah. That's what he's making.
6 days in Fallujah. Wow.
Yeah, he's working on that. But no, Lee Ross had some incredible ideas with zombies, and
Oh, I know
and
this
again, like
guy.
yeah. He talked about them prototyping IW Zombies 2. Like it was already in development. And I understand that IW at first, and even now to some extent, it didn't get as well received as many Treyarch titles. But also, you have to consider the fact that IW came out right hot off the press after BO3 and basically like in between Black Ops 3 and Zombies Chronicles. Like the greatest zombies experience ever made. Like IW's kind of sandwich in that. So of course it's going to look a little bit less shiny compared to those two things. I still don't think like IW Zombies is amazing. Fantastic mode. I cannot say I like it as much as Treyarch Zombies, but for a non-Treyarch title,
Yeah.
it's probably one of the best. And they had something good going there. And of course,
They don't ever
for
bring it
whatever
back.
reason, they shoot themselves in the foot and it's gone.
What was the next thing
Don't
that
know
they
why.
did? What was was it Spec Ops? Was that their next game?
After
Yeah.
IWZ, I mean, that would be
It was
it was
Warzone.
Modern Warfare after.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Well, I actually remember, man, you know what's crazy is I remember talking to devs after IW, and I heard rumors of something like really big that they were working on. And they're like, this is gonna like revolutionize stuff. Like they had this giant project that I'm pretty sure they sacrificed IW Zombies 2 in service of. And I think that project ended up being Warzone. I think they were working on Warzone stuff like right after Infinite Warfare
yeah.
was over. So, I mean, as a Zombies fan, yeah, that sucks. Because if it came between picking Warzone or IW Zombies 2, I would have picked Zombies. But, that's my bias. Like,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people would feel differently.
Well, I feel
but
like they could have done both because they ended up doing co-op in MW19. Couldn't that have taken the place of co-op and then still do Warzone? Am I asking for too much here?
it may have been too much just because I feel like the co-op thing was just like a
Very
slapped on
basic.
Sony demand.
Yeah.
That was like Sony being like, "Hey, we need some kind of exclusive thing," and they're like, "Oh my god, we have like 6 seconds to make something."
Yeah,
You know,
that's true.
um,
That's true.
it was. I think that was like a tacked on Sony exclusive thing. It was not very good. Um, as far as modes that were being developed with budget and passion and everything was IW Zombies 2 got canned, and I think all of those resources went right to Warzone.
I wonder if they would ever
So
bring that back.
I don't know, like IW Zombies 2,
Yeah, like, do you think that's
not
ever an
without Lee
option or
Ross.
probably not?
Not without Lee Ross.
Ah,
Like, IW Zombies is branded with Lee Ross's personality all over it. They could bring it back, but it would be nothing like Infinite Warfare Zombies, not even close.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I know as well that uh originally there were plans to have Modern Warfare Zombies, not MWZ, but like like a zombies mode in Modern Warfare 2019. That was in the plans originally. But then
Sheesh.
they said, it doesn't really fit the theme of what we're doing.
Yeah,
Nah, let's scrap it. Um,
because it was
so
more realistic, and I think that's why
sure.
I was listening to somebody talk about this the other day, and they had said how MW19 was a very realistic COD, and that's why Search and Gunfight played so well on it. And I'm like, I do actually agree with that because like Team Deathmatch, Hardpoint, Domination, awful, but like MW19 Search, I think you talk to a lot of people, they'd be like, yeah, that was really fun.
Why is that? You
I
think?
have no idea. I truly have no idea, but I totally agree with the statement, and I don't really know why. Maybe just mechanics of the game just felt so smooth. I don't know. And I mean, the game did not encourage a lot of movement, no dead
Which
silence.
ironically had the best movement
Oh,
system.
that's the craziest thing about the game too. It's so wild. But
It's very contradictory.
doors, Joe Seasot coming out and saying we want a safe spot for players to sit, and I mean that's just never a good start for COD people. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. I have no idea where I was going with that statement that started that.
No,
But,
we got off on a big tangent about like I think we were talking about IW shooting themselves in the foot.
oh, yes. So, I mean, I totally agree with you. I think that's a great point.
I think there's like two. I feel like the studios have a couple of distinct like approaches. This is just my perspective. This is the way that it feels like to me. IW feels like the studio that is pushing the envelope. If I'm being honest, IW is the one that's calling the shots and is pushing innovation. I mean, after BO4, like
You think
MW19 comes out,
BO6 movement?
introduces Gunsmith.
You think
I'll get to
BO6
that in a
move?
second.
Okay.
Um, uh, uh, I think IW is largely calling the shots, and when they introduce Gunsmith, it's like everybody follows suit. When they do, this new engine, everybody
Yeah,
follows suit.
yeah.
IW is for all intents and purposes, they're taking charge, for better or for worse. But and then I feel like but that also comes with them being a little bit obtuse with the community, maybe, or less
Well, they don't have anybody
receptive.
checking in. Nobody, no community managers. I know Joe Seasot hasn't tweeted in years.
Yeah, they're very like off comms with the community. They're
Yeah.
very much like in their thing. We're in our studio, and not that they don't hear the community, but I really don't think there's that same level of communication.
Yeah.
Or reception to feedback.
Yes.
On the other hand, Sledgehammer is probably receptive to the community to a fault. Like I'm not like I love Sledgehammer for how much they listen and the close knitted feedback they give the community at every possible moment. Sometimes it might feel that they're pandering to the community maybe a little too much at times. Where they basically like start listening to the Twitter trolls.
Yeah.
But I mean, more communication is certainly better than less. But I think they communicate sometimes maybe a little too much. I think Treyarch is probably the healthy middle ground where they're confident enough to be like, we're confident in our studio, we're doing our own thing, we have a vision for you guys, we're going to deliver on this thing.
Yeah.
But they're not completely closed off to community reception either. I in terms of like a gradient, you have IW, non-communicative, you have Sledgehammer on the complete polar opposite, and then you have Treyarch somewhere in the middle there. As far as like their vision versus the community's vision of the game.
Yeah.
And in some ways it's kind of nice to have, I guess, those different approaches, and it does come with varying results, we'll say. MW3, I don't know, is it weird to say that MW3 kind of feels like a fan-made Call of Duty game?
Yeah, it just doesn't we've talked about this before. It's like such a well done supported COD.
Mm-hmm.
But I still just don't find myself going back to it and playing it.
Well, I've been thinking about this a lot, right? With Modern Warfare Zombies, and we can talk about that as it relates to Season 6. But like, the thing I've been thinking about is MWZ. The more I play it, it feels like a fanfic version of Zombies. Like
Yeah.
And I also want to caveat that by saying there's elements of MWZ that I really like. I've played more Modern Warfare Zombies than I did like anything in Vanguard or pretty much anything post Cold War. If there was anything besides Vanguard, I nothing comes to mind really, but I played it a lot more than I thought I would. I will say that too. There's a lot of elements I love about Modern Warfare Zombies. I think it's a pretty good mode, but it feels like a fanfic version of Zombies, and it, I understand the development troubles with it, but it feels like Reddit made that mode, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does.
It'd be like, yo, like, what if, like, it's literally like, guys, what if, like, Modern Warfare, or, like, what if Warzone had zombies in it? And it's,
Yeah.
I don't know. Some of it works, some of it doesn't, but I think that can kind of more or less stretch to the whole game where all of MW3 kind of feels like a fan made game
Yes.
in a good way and bad way.
Yeah, it's funny when you said all that, like how each studio has like a different approach to like how they deal with the community. It's kind of funny. But I want to get into Sledgehammer. This is a report. I don't know. I asked you before we started if we talked about this last podcast, but I don't think we did. The rumor has it that Sledgehammer had a few multiplayer maps kind of done, ready to go for future seasons or for the current season or 5, 6 or whatever. And Treyarch has now swooped in, taken them for their post-launch. What's your thoughts? What do you think the purpose of that is? And do you think that there's something related maybe to 2025 COD of why this is happening?
Well, I would say in some ways it's kind of smart, I feel like.
Yes.
Because I mean, as disappointed as I am that there's no zombies content period in this past update, like realistically, what would be the benefit of them dropping a ton new maps in this update when I would imagine, and I don't know because I haven't seen the numbers, but I would imagine their player base right now is at an all-time low for MW3.
So we can talk. You can bring in the subject that we talked about before if you want about that. I was going to mention that with the battle pass and all that jazz.
Yeah. So I would, and I'm not even saying this is MW3's fault. This is literally gaming. This is the COD cycle, and not even just COD. This is just video games. By the end of the game's life cycle, the most amount of players have already fallen off. That's why, and I'll get back to my main point, but that's why I remember talking to like Jason Blundell about zombies, and he would always talk about how in DLC 4, the final map, they would always feel a lot better making the map more challenging and difficult because they've kind of shaken out the casual players by that point, and the people that are still left playing are, the more hardcore ones, and that can deal with a more hardcore experience. Like they would feel comfortable, putting on the gas a little bit when it comes to like making a more challenging or intricate map because they know the community can handle that. They want to open with a map that's easy for everybody to get on and play. So anyways, with Sledgehammer, and I'm pretty sure this is real because I've seen it multiple sources, but allegedly Sledgehammer or Activision, whoever, was giving...
I can read the tweet if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Activision has been sending out emails to people who have not played MW3 or Warzone in a while with a free Season 6 Battle Pass code.
There it is.
And it's an email. There's an email. There's a picture of an email from Call of Duty. Free Battle Pass to you.
I never got one. It's like... But that's all...
Sorry.
That's also what's kind of crazy is that the players that are actually on it don't get one.
Yeah.
That's kind of wild. And I don't know what their, methodology was for who they're giving it to or how long it'd be inactive. I don't know. But but what I was saying is in some ways I feel like it's kind of smart for Treyarch to poach the maps because again, realistically, like what is that going to do for MW3 to drop a bunch of brand new maps on this game that's going to have like one more month before BO6 comes out?
Yes.
And I feel like the internal signals that Activision are telling them BO6 is probably going to be much bigger than MW3 ever was.
Yeah.
So you may as well double down. That's what I think anyways. I think it's a pretty smart decision, to be honest. I just don't know
think
like,
they
what else
nailed
to
it.
get out of MW3 at this point.
Yeah. MW3, I think, has had its time in the sun. I totally respect the fact that they've still been supporting it because I think they could have easily put this thing in the garbage can like MW2 did, packed it up.
Sure. Yeah.
Didn't give us anything. Here's a couple skins here and there. Thanks for playing. We'll see you next year. And I think they're, as a studio, and I have no source to confirm this, but I just feel like as a studio, they probably wanted to beat the allegations of we were a DLC. You know what I mean? Like... And of course, I think that's part of the problem too. Is
do you think they beat the allegations?
I think they did. I mean, I think that they did their best to. the campaign side of things, I don't know, it's just like the campaign was the one thing, because I think we had talked about that. It's probably why we're never going to see an early access campaign again, because people played that campaign, thought it was terrible, canceled their pre-order, or saw that it was terrible, canceled their pre-order. So now it's like, okay, you get to experience this all at the same time. So yeah, I think they did a good job of keeping people interested, despite, I mean, the thing had the biggest uphill battle of all time.
Well, it's crazy, right? Like, think about what the package of Modern Warfare 3 was on launch compared to now. Like, these 42 new maps. Put those aside for a second. Modern Warfare 3 launched with a very bad campaign that was literally MW2 DLC.
Yes.
It also
100%.
launched with old Modern Warfare 2 maps. And then if it didn't have the zombies mode, that would have been it. I'm going to talk about this way more extensively in my MWZ review, but they had to like haphazardly tack on MWZ to help justify that price tag, I think.
Yeah.
Because, by the end of the game, right now you could justify, hey, this is a brand new game. This is a standalone title. This is not DLC for MW2. By this point, I think you can make that argument. But I feel like they really had to tack on MWZ to be like, hey, we also got a zombies mode. It's not just a bad campaign and remastered maps. We got this other thing going on. I think that was tacked on to help sell the game, and I understand why they did it. I don't agree with it exactly, but I get their approach. And I feel like they're kind of doing the same thing with Black Ops 6, but the difference is BO6 is already more of a complete game.
Yeah.
They're not haphazardly trying to tack on things to justify the price tag. It's already a pretty hefty game as is. So I think they're just trying to beef up maybe they've heard the community. Maybe they know, like, okay, MW3 killed it with post-launch. In a way, that's kind of the bar you set.
That's what I mean. Out. That's what I said earlier. It's just
like trying to prepare for that.
Now you got to prep for that, and now you got. I mean, do I expect 42 maps? No, but I think we need to be getting the same amount
something reasonable, and especially with and you also have to talk about quality too. 42 maps are one thing, but if they all suck, it's like, okay, well, that was kind of a waste. But I don't know if Treyarch delivers 25 maps throughout the season and they're all pretty high quality. To me, that's just as good as like a really high volume of content too. Quality I do have to consider. The thing I'm a little bit worried about is zombies, because there's been some rumors lately about BO6 maps, and
you're not liking what you're hearing?
Well, I don't know whether to take it literally or what they're gonna. I don't know how it's gonna shake out, but my concern is we're gonna start really hot. Terminus, Liberty Falls on launch, DLC 1 before 2024 ends. And then I feel like maps are going to come out at an increasingly slower pace throughout the year. Kind of like what they did with MW3, where they ease off the gas quite a lot. Because also, once again, if Treyarch is making the next game, they kind of have to.
Yeah.
I don't know, but my only fear is that they start really, really hot and they start to kind of lose it, and people go, oh, okay, like, where's this level of support, at the beginning of the game?
Yeah.
We'll see. I hope they can maintain it. For their sake, I really hope they do. That would very much satisfy me, and I think make a lot of the community happy.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that. But also, again, if the maps are quality, multiplayer side and zombies, then I will have less to pick at.
Yeah, I think Treyarch too. We've talked about Treyarch a little bit, but I always say I'm a little bit biased towards Treyarch. They've never done anything wrong, and I'm like, well, they kind of have done a few things wrong, but you think about the last two CODs, and they've been kind of, there's a lot of controversy around with them. Black Ops 4, no campaign, Cold War, 6 multiplayer maps. So again, there's stories behind all that too.
I've never been let down by a Treyarch campaign. Black Ops 4 didn't have one, so I couldn't have been let down.
True.
But I've never been let down by a Treyarch campaign. So that's something, I think. But I mean, you're right. There's always been some issue. I mean, even back to Black Ops 1, like I remember people complaining about BO1 when that came out. I remember people complaining about Black Ops 2 before it came out. there was always something to complain about with every Call of Duty game, and there's some kind of controversy. Black Ops 3, people were up in arms about the jetpack movement when that came out. BO4, people were going crazy because no campaign. Cold War, people were losing their minds over 6 maps on launch. It's like I've been around this block
Yeah.
quite a lot. So it's just depending, and people are losing their minds over Liberty Falls. There's always something, but I don't know. I was talking about this in my previous couple of videos. My complaints about BO6, like in perspective, have been relatively minor.
Yeah.
It's not my concerns with MW3 where I'm like, I really don't know how much of this is going to be a new game, and I really don't know how much personal identity it's going to have. That's like a big core problem.
Yeah.
My issues with Black Ops 6 are like, yeah, the HUD kind of sucks.
I love that. I love that that's the only conversation we're having. Zombies HUD sucks.
Yeah.
The maps might be a little too small in multiplayer.
Sure. The color saturation is not there.
Color saturation, we got to be able to be happy with that, especially with the last couple CODs we've gotten. So it's like, all right,
we're really picking at little things, but that means that the quality of the core fundamentals of the game, I'm not going to budge on this, and I've played more than the average person at this point. They're in really good shape. And then people were in my video, I said that, and then people in my videos were calling me like an Activision shill. I'm like,
yep.
I literally don't care about my Activision reputation. I really don't.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I just like a game. God, if I like a game, I get called a shill. But also, if I don't like a game with BO4, then apparently it's my fault that BO4 zombies failed.
Yes.
Apparently it was YouTubers.
You should have said something. Zombies. You should have said something sooner.
Yeah. You can't win with these people.
Yeah.
But sometimes I just like a game, and I happen to really like Black Ops 6. Not that it's flawless, but in general, the core of the game is in really good shape. I don't know what to tell you. It just is. They've done a good job.
I just can't seem to go back and play. Like, I played the new season just because it was a new season. I'm like, it's kind of my job to go play it. But like, after playing Black Ops 6, I'm just like, how do I play something else besides this? Obviously with my content, I go back to a lot of older CODs, which I enjoy doing that. But it's like, as an everyday experience, like hopping on a game, it's like, I'm not hopping on MW3. Like, there's just no chance. I went on
MWC to record something for my review.
You're just like,
and
what am I doing?
I tried to slide to the side, and then I got really sad.
Yeah. Well, because MW3, when I try to tell people this, if you go back to MW19 and then go to MW3, like, the amount of like clunkiness that you don't really think is there because we've been playing MW2 prior to that and Vanguard prior to that. When you go play MW19 versus MW3, you're like, wow, this got worse.
MW3 is way more clunky.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's
been a while since I played Modern Warfare 2019, but
yeah, you should go back, slide around a little bit in MW19, and then go to MW3. It's just like way smoother. Way smoother.
I wish MW19 had a zombies offering so that I could feel what that movement would be like in a zombies mode.
That would be
with that movement. That would be incredible. And I know MW3 wanted to kind of replicate that, but they did it in a, I don't know, what would you describe it as? Like, I know, because you were there. That Sledgehammer was kind of trying to relive the MW19 movement in a way.
Yeah, I think they were trying to get it back to that, but I don't know if it's the engine or I have no idea. I know it's something with like the tack sprint. They didn't let it reset. Like, it doesn't reset as quick as it did on MW19. Like, if you slide cancel on MW19, you can tack sprint right away. And in this one, you have like the animation where they walk like this. And it's just like, like, if we're going to have tack sprint, let us use it, either get rid of it or just go tack sprint, slide. Tack sprint, like, that's, to me, again, this is a skill thing, but it's a skill gap. You learn how to do slide canceling better so you can have better movement, you can get around faster, and that's part of the process. But
now here's something I want to ask you. Somebody, speaking of movement, somebody left a comment on my video that I thought was pretty interesting. they were talking about how like omni movement's great, but in a way, it's kind of pointless if the fastest way to get from point A to point
They
B
just
is
sprint.
still tack sprinting forward, you know?
Yeah.
Like so what he's getting at is would BO6 be better if you couldn't tack sprint? Because, if the fastest way to get from point A to point B could theoretically be sprinting in any direction, not tack sprinting forward, would that encourage more use of it? I don't know. I thought that was interesting, and I'm
Yeah.
like, maybe. Um, I don't know if tack sprint really needs to be in BO6.
I
Not that at this point, not that they're going to take it out, but like,
yeah. I was
I
gonna
don't
say
know.
there's
Maybe
no
for the
way
next
they do.
game, maybe if they want omni movement to be more utilized, maybe the solution is, get rid of what tax. I'm sorry, I keep saying tax stance, tax sprint.
Yeah.
Um, like if tax sprinting was gone, maybe omni movement would shine more and it would be more effective to run in all directions now. Not that it isn't, and you can still use it, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
tax sprinting makes a lot of that kind of pointless.
I think you'd have to up the base movement just a little bit, speed
Yeah, I do
wise.
too. I do too.
If they got rid of tax sprint, because I think we're all used to that now. We're 3, 4. What were we? Well, Cold War didn't have it, but the rest of the CODs had it. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like now we're
Pretty
used to that next. And again, I hate to say this, but a lot of people.
That
and
was also an Infinity Ward thing, by the way. When I
it-
saw about the
yeah.
innovation that they set that trend, everybody else followed.
Yeah, and I think too, I have no problem with that. And that's like, I know a lot of people always, including myself. I mean, like I said, my content, half of it's going back to old CODs, but it's not in like a way of like, I like to see evolution. I'm one of those people where, okay, I might be a little skittish at first, but then like, okay, once I get used to this, like I actually end up enjoying it. Like the jetpack era, like in the time of it, Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, I like, at first I was like, whoa, what the heck is this? But then like by the end, they should have stopped. They should have not done one more. But I'm like, man, that was really fun. And it's like, I just wish that we could enjoy the era instead of being like, okay, they have tax sprint. Let's go back to the way it was at COD 4. And I'm like, they're not doing that. Like it's over. They're not going back to COD 4 era. Like we gotta embrace the change or, move to another game. And I know some people have, but I
don't know if you've been getting this, but a lot of people in my comments have I've been seeing this sentiment a lot more. People are like, I'm getting too old for this shit.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you are
a lot of people playing BO6 are like us, and
yeah,
like
it's a first person shooter. Like it's a quick first person. Like, what do you think? If you're 45 years old now or 40 years old, like, do you expect
the games are getting faster and faster, and the player base is getting older and older.
And your skill-based matchmaking is getting stricter and stricter. So you're, like you're going to be with people that at your skill level, you're going to go even. Now, I do think that that's a big factor, but if it was a wide open lobby, you might have some people you can kind of dunk on. You might get dunked on yourself. And I think that would help with people going, man, I think part of that Call of Duty is missing that. They're missing I've said it in a lot of my videos. I remember playing Black Ops 1 and you'd have a sweat. You'd have a dude walking around that was awful. You'd have a dude that was okay. Like it just made, and then all those people would use different guns. The sweat's using the FAMAS. This random dude's got an RPG and a Claymore somewhere. You got another guy's probably using like the AK-74U or MP5. It just gave you
a different story to every
just
game.
a different story to everyone. We've talked about this, but I just feel like that is what's missing. And you go play the Black Ops 6 beta. If you're in my lobby, if you're in your lobby. It was the PDW the first weekend. There wasn't a single person. I said, it's a beta. I mean, I'm getting to the point where I'm like, okay, I guess I'm just going to go even or a little bit above positive because I want to try other guns. I'm like, guys, you do realize
is everyone has to get TikTok clips, dude. They're going to be famous.
They're going to be famous if they get a PDW 3-piece.
It's like,
yeah, it's just like, come on, man. Like I miss having that variety. And I think Warzone now is to that point. Where in the early stages of Warzone, it was innocent and everybody was trying different. Dude, some of the combos of guns you'd see in early Warzone, you're like, what the heck is that? And
I
then
was that guy.
Yeah, and then now it's, hey, blank creator says this is the meta. Nobody uses anything else.
Make meta videos by the hour.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? They go, change all your loadouts right now. This
Yeah.
new thing came out an hour ago. It's like, it's crazy.
I think
But
now you have
now,
to say like, hey, if you want to try something else, like how does it compare to the meta? Because I think people have gotten smarter of like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
bro, the
yeah, 100%.
STG is meta in Warzone. Nothing's gonna beat it. It's like, okay, well, hey, if you want to try something that maybe can compete, and it's like you're bored of the STG, use this. Like that is a good way to explain it, in my opinion.
Now here's a really this brings up a complicated issue, and we could maybe go down this rabbit hole. But I think a lot of what is causing, I think the root cause of what a lot of people consider Call of Duty to have gotten so sweaty over the past couple years, and just gaming has gotten really sweaty, is like, obviously there's a lot more money going around in
Yeah.
in,
Oh
in
yeah.
gaming. There's opportunities for people and so on. Uh, Obviously, and I was only half kidding about people on Black Ops 6 sweating their ass off for TikTok clips. Like, I was only half joking about that because I feel like
It's real.
there it is real, and the uh I'm not going to say the monetization of games, because games have always been monetized, and there's always been opportunity to make money in this, but it's clearly like, and I know you know this too, like when you and I started playing Call of Duty, it was not the coolest hobby in the general like zeitgeist of the world and the
Yeah.
internet and
Yeah.
so on. And now it is a socially attractive trait to be good at video games,
Yeah.
when that was, I don't know, not the case even like
Quite
10
the
years ago.
opposite. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Uh and so now this kind of like vying for attention and status and money and so on is like, that's what's really, okay, this is my crazy take. I think that issue is actually what is at the heart of skill-based matchmaking.
Yeah. They know
I'm
everybody's
just gonna
gotten
be honest.
better. Everybody's gotten better. The
Everybody's
equipment's
gotten better.
better.
Everybody has a reason to get better now.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
is financially incentivized to try as hard as possible in a way. And even if you're not directly compensated for it, like, there's something that comes with status and TikTok clips, and like, there's that extra element there where a lot of people aren't playing the game just because it's a fun game. They're like, there's another angle to it.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, like that's my take. I think the skill based matchmaking debate is kind of pointless, because unless you address the heart of the issue, which is that, I don't think you get anywhere with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think everybody's got a monitor now. Everybody's got a headset. Everybody's got a controller with paddles.
Yeah.
It's way more accessible. I
It's
think
accessible to be sweatier now. You had
yes.
to really go out of your way to be like sweaty
I mean, dude,
in the day.
scuff's a relatively new thing when you think about it. Like, I remember
Mhm.
going against people in GBs, which is like a competitive website that doesn't exist anymore, but in Advanced Warfare, and I'm just like, I'm on a 32-inch TV, regular Xbox headset that's only one ear. Like, it's just a listening one.
Oh,
Not,
like
it
the
didn't
Turtle
have
Beach or
audio in
whatever,
it. No, I had audio coming out of the TV, regular controller, and I'm going against people that are sitting on a monitor, a Turtle Beach, a Scuff controller, and that's when I first started diving in and trying to get better, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna get smacked around if I keep trying to play like this.
Yeah.
So
And it's become easier than ever to get these, like, what at the time would be sweaty peripherals, the zero latency monitor, and the 3D audio headset
yeah,
and whatnot, and the scuff controller. It's just, I think the SBMM debate is largely rooted in this issue where the attention economy has gotten to gaming.
yeah, yep.
So I know that's very like off topic of what we're talking
Oh,
about,
I,
but
I love it though. I love it. I think it's good to talk about, because I think there's a lot of people that dislike skill-based matchmaking, but they don't really dive into it. They just kind of like say skill-based matchmaking ruined
SBMM
COD.
bad.
Yeah, it's like, well, we can let's
Like,
like dive in a
obviously,
little bit.
but okay, but why?
Yeah.
And
And
yeah,
why can you
I
see on the other side why they have it? And like, I'm trying to have that perspective. I still think it should be loosened to this day. I think it's way
sure.
too strict.
I also made this argument in my Advanced Warfare review like a year ago, and you can tell me what you think about this notion. I haven't been able to, like, put a wrench under this argument. I feel like this is a pretty I feel like this is a pretty solid idea. I think the problem with SPMM in Call of Duty is the context of the game that it's on. We've touched on this a bit, is like Call of Duty is about getting kills. That is what the gameplay is. Call of
Yeah.
Duty is a very simple game. You getting kills and kill streaks is the heart of what Call of Duty is in a way. Obviously, winning is a part of it too, but that comes in tandem with getting kills. And I mean, the kill streak system should be evidence of this. But with that in mind, you play a game, and this is the example I use in my video. Like, you play a game like chess, like a competitive chess game. A grandmaster does not want to sit down with somebody who's never even played the game.
Yeah.
It's not fun for anybody. For anybody, like the grandmaster won't have fun stomping the other person. That's not fun.
Right.
The and I play like Smash, and the most fun that I have when playing that game is playing somebody who's slightly better than me.
Right.
Because like I'm learning something at every moment. And the fun that's derived out of that game is like the close dance. And you can get that a little bit in Call of Duty, but when people say like they don't want to sweat all the time, okay, what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
Like you know what like what does that actually mean? You're sweating. Okay, you're exerting effort into playing your game. Why is that a problem? Sometimes that can be really fun. But Call of Duty is not, the fun part of the game is not built on that effort exactly.
Yeah.
It's built on steamrolling. So, of course, SBMM doesn't work in that game. It goes antithetical to, and I know Activision did the research of, they showed like the retention graphs of players, and they're like, more players play our game when we have SBMM on. Just letting y'all know.
Yeah.
So that's why we have it. And I'm like, well, for a while they were hush hush, but now at least they talk about it.
Yeah, that's a good start. That's a good start. I hope they keep talking about it, because I don't know. I think it's a conversation that a lot of people, I mean, even casuals talk about it now, which casuals never even knew what that meant back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
They're just hopping on the game, hopping off. But
I do think SPMM also gets kind of scapegoated for people's problems in the game that have nothing to do with SPMM.
Yeah.
People may not have a good time on the game for one reason or another, and they,
blame
SPMM
hackers.
is the easy boogeyman to point at.
And hackers
say,
right now,
why
too.
I'm not having fun. Yeah, and true. Yeah, and hackers. And another thing is like, with going back to the getting old thing, and I'm not saying this for everybody, but maybe it is the case for some people that the getting old aspect, instead of pointing at getting old, it's easier to point at SPMM and be like, that's the boogeyman. That's why I don't have fun on COD anymore. Or some people may have just outgrown Call of Duty and they don't know why they're not enjoying it anymore, and they go, SPMM, that's why.
I totally agree. I was looking on Charlie Intel, see if I missed anything else. I don't know if I have much else, to be honest.
I do want to briefly talk about the no content for season 6 in MWZ.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
That well, I guess I feel like now there's something that they did kind of change that it wasn't totally devoid of content, but what they did was like cut the schematic cooldown time in half, and also make it so that you don't have to use sigils to access rifts. And what that means is that basically the content that was unlocked through doing an Easter egg can now just be accessed by everybody. You don't even need to have done those Easter eggs anymore to unlock the rift. You just get in them. So I mean, that's pretty cool for maybe end of season, letting people enjoy the breadth of the content that it had to offer without doing these quests that are kind of, inaccessible to some people.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. But there was nothing like new to get into. And that's kind of like disappointing for the end of season. And they made it clear they were ending it in season 5 Reloaded. But, it was just like, all right, that's fine. Just little quality of life things. But that's it for MWZ. I'm making a big review on it soon. And,
I was gonna say I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that.
I have a lot to say. It'll be something.
It'll be an hour longish.
Oh, it's gonna be over an hour.
I'm wow, yeah. Sure. I love that.
I have a lot to say.
I think honestly, some of the videos that do that length are like people. I actually read this the other day about content wise, and it was like the TikTok era of content is kind of over. it's kind of like finally gone,
God
where
bless.
everything, and I've learned this too from my own stuff. It felt like you had people like, I mean, I came in content wise like 2019, so um I entered in during the TikTok era, but I watched Scumpy, Nate Shot, you know, all these people just do these casual gameplays, and I just enjoyed it. It was very easy to watch, second monitor stuff, and then it came into the TikTok era where you had people that weren't gamers, they weren't gaming consuming content people. So that's how it had to get all flashy and get all crazy to kind of attract people that weren't really about it. They just had nothing else really to do. And
Yeah.
now you have people going back to their normal lives, watching football, watching baseball, watching their normal television shows that didn't exist during the pandemic. And now it's like, now we're back to, dude, I put up an hour video the other day, very light editing. It's like one of my better performing videos because I think
Love
people
that.
are
I love
watching that slower second monitor, enjoying that pacing of not in your face, in your face, in your face. And I think
I
like,
love that.
yeah, I just think that's like your
find
hour review will be perfect for like where things are coming back to again.
I yeah, I think so too, and I think that's awesome that your longer video has done so well. And that, to me, that makes me happy because like I understand the place. There's a time and place for short form content, but I I I cannot be the only one that I'll I find like TikTok gaming content exhausting in a way. I find short form content to be exhausting after a while.
Yeah,
More
yeah.
more like I don't know. Maybe this is just my brain. I know I did not come up during like the TikTok era of
Yeah.
content, but um I feel like I'm more exhausted after watching like 10 TikToks than watching like an hour and a half retrospective about something.
Dude,
And
I don't have TikTok on my phone anymore. I don't have Instagram on my phone. I got rid of all that. I'm like, I'm going all in on long form content because that's all I consume really.
yeah,
I don't know. Short
same.
form, I feel like it's very, very similar in the COD's like landscape right now. I just
It's so formulaic now. Every like
even
and
my own
I'm
stuff. I'm not even saying other people. Like I
no, I
start
was
the
gonna say
same way. Call of Duty did
I'm
this, and I'm
guilty as
like,
charged. Yeah. I'm guilty as charged too. Like the whole, the formula is say something crazy,
yeah,
have text pop up one at a time,
yep, yep.
to it's just like home it's just so exhausting. I'm like I said, guilty as charged. I've done my own fair share of that, but it's exhausting, bro.
Yeah, it is. It's and then you have to keep up on it. Like YouTube, it's like you can kind of process a little bit, and you know, it seems to live forever a little bit on YouTube. Not a little bit,
Yeah.
a lot of it.
Well,
If you
what's been
make that
really
type of
rewarding.
content.
Yeah, yeah. For sure. What's been really rewarding for me is that, the COD retrospectives that I made like the past 2 years, those are still some of my like currently best performing videos. They get views all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
They're just these very evergreen videos about a game that a lot of people love, and I put my heart, soul, and passion into these, and it's nice to see that when I get a comment letting like and someone know like, hey, this really resonated with me. This was a really great piece of work right here.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that is what
It's
makes
way
it worth
more
it to me.
satisfying than doing a short. I will tell you that.
Yeah.
On the other side of it now, where I'm starting to get those comments, it's like, dude, this is such a good video. You're like, wow, okay. I put way more effort into it than a short, and people, like you said, are resonating with it.
It's so fulfilling.
Yeah, it's way better.
So
Way better.
that's my way of saying Modern Warfare Zombies retrospective coming.
Oh, that's gonna be a good one, boys. That's gonna be a good one.
I'm excited.
Um, but yeah, I think, I mean, for me, that kind of wraps it up. This one was kind of thrown together because Chop has to go, and like you said, we're in this downtime of waiting for Black Ops 6 for like a month away, which is not very long.
Yeah.
Which is great. So we'll see how many podcasts we put out in the next month. Hopefully, we'll try to
Maybe
do
we'll have some guests on.
yeah, maybe we'll bring some guests on. I know we got one. I'm actually working on booking him now. I'm not telling you who it is, but we'll have him and maybe one other, and then we'll get to Black Ops 6. So I would expect probably 2 podcasts maybe in the next month is what I'm thinking, unless we get crazy. But
And then things will go
then
off
we'll
the
heat
rails
up.
when
Then
we,
we're gonna
yeah,
heat up a little bit.
for
which
sure.
which I like.
I appreciate you guys sticking through this conversation. Anyway, it was just a good chat. Like really.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, that's episode 21. As always, I'm gonna repeat myself. Make sure you go leave a review on Spotify, Apple Music, leave a like, subscribe on YouTube. I think Chop, you said we're close to 10K, or we're getting closer. That's pretty crazy, I think, because we've done it. Like I said, we've done this podcast like kind of solo. I know a lot of podcasts launch and they always have like a crazy first guest to launch their podcast, and it almost seems to be about the other people rather than the podcast themselves, like the people talking. And I'm like, so you're just kind of not to I'm not trying to what am I saying, crap on other people's podcasts, but it's like you're using the other person's name to bring your podcast in. It's like, all right, well, we're just talking about COD, us two. We've slowly gotten it to 10K. I'm like, that's pretty good, I think. So
I think so. And you know, the people that watch, like y'all are the reason that happens. Like, thank you guys so much.
Yeah. But that's it. Make sure you follow us on social media. Make sure you subscribe to our personal channels, because Chop's got a banger coming. Make sure you turn your noties on for both of us, I guess. And Chop, anything else?
That's it for me. I'm excited for BO6. That's all I can say. I can't wait.
Yes,
so
I cannot wait.
In the meantime, we're just cooking a couple more bangers, and
yes,
then,
sir.
And then we'll be into it. So,
all right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We will talk to you next time with a guest, a special guest. Actually, you know what? Comment down below who you think it's going to be, or who do you want us to have as the second guest? Because this one's kind of already booked. So the following one, if you made it this far, give us guest suggestions. But everybody, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.